Harin's fingers moved across the data screen, sorting through broken files like she did every day. The work was boring. The same corrupted messages, the same damaged records, the same endless stream of digital garbage from ships passing through Vera Station. She had been doing this job for 3 years, and every day felt exactly like the one before. The station hummed around her, a tired sound that never stopped. Vera Station was old and forgotten, floating in a quiet corner of space where nobody important ever came. It was a place for people who had nowhere else to go. Harin was one of those people. She was Velothi, one of the few left. Her skin was different from humans. It was almost see-through like colored glass, and it changed colors when she felt strong emotions. Right now it was dull gray-blue, the color of someone who had stopped expecting anything good to happen. Her eyes were large and dark, made for seeing in dim light. Her people had evolved on a world with a dying sun, but that world was gone now, burned away when their star finally died. 3 generations ago, most Velothi had scattered across the galaxy, trying to fit into other species' worlds. Some succeeded. Many didn't. Harin had been born on a transport ship, raised in temporary shelters, and had ended up here on Vera Station when she was 16. She was 24 now, and this dusty archive room felt like her whole world. But Harin had a secret, a dream that kept her going through the endless, boring days. She dreamed of Earth. It had started when she was young. Grandfather Day-Wan, the oldest Velothi on the station, had told her stories about a planet covered in water. Blue water, he said, so much of it that it covered most of the world. Green forest that stretched for thousands of miles. White clouds that floated in a bright blue sky. He had heard these stories from a human trader once, decades ago, and he never forgot them. Harin became obsessed. She started collecting every piece of data about Earth she could find. Most of it was corrupted or incomplete. Partial images, broken video files, damaged text records. But she saved everything. In her small quarters, she had pieced together a picture of Earth from hundreds of fragments. An ocean at sunset, a mountain covered in snow, a city glowing with lights at night, a forest in the rain. She knew it was foolish. Earth was thousands of light years away, deep in human-controlled space. Passage there cost more money than she would earn in 10 years, and even if she could afford it, humans were protective of their homeworld. They didn't let just anyone visit. Most species only knew Earth from rumors and stories. Still, she saved her money. Every credit she didn't need for food or shelter went into a small account. After 8 years of saving, she had enough for maybe a quarter of the journey. At this rate, she would be old before she ever saw Earth, but she kept saving anyway. The dream was all she had. Then one day, everything changed. The station manager called her to his office. A human ship had docked for emergency repairs. Something about pirates damaging their engines. The ship's captain wanted help organizing their data cores while they waited for repairs. It was temporary work, just a few days, but it paid well. Harin agreed immediately. The ship was called the Horizon. It was small compared to the big transport ships that sometimes came through, but it looked solid and well-maintained. The hull was scarred from travel, but someone clearly took care of it. A symbol was painted on the side, the emblem of the Human Stellar Exploration Initiative. Harin felt her skin flicker with a tiny bit of green, the color of cautious hope. This ship had been to Earth, she was sure of it. The captain met her at the airlock. His name was Taeyang. He was human, probably in his 40s, with dark hair starting to show gray at the edges. His face had lines around his eyes, the kind that came from years of squinting at bright stars. But his eyes were kind. Harin noticed that right away. He showed her to a small room filled with data storage units. The work was simple, just organizing and backing up files while his crew worked on the engines. Harin started immediately, grateful for something different to do. She worked carefully, sorting through survey data, navigation logs, and research files. Then 3 hours into her shift, she accidentally triggered something. A video file opened on her screen and Harin's breath stopped. It was Earth, not a corrupted fragment or a partial image. It was a complete high-quality recording of Earth from orbit. The planet slowly rotated on her screen, blue and white and absolutely beautiful. She could see continents, oceans, clouds swirling in patterns. It was more stunning than anything she had imagined. Her skin blazed with color, bright blue and gold and silver, colors she rarely showed. She couldn't help it. 8 years of dreaming, and here it was, right in front of her eyes. A voice behind her said, "Beautiful, isn't it?" Harin jumped and tried to close the file, Her skin flushed dark purple with embarrassment. Captain Tae-young stood in the doorway, but he didn't look angry. He walked over and sat down in the chair next to her. "I'm sorry," Harin said quickly. "I didn't mean to access personal files. It just opened and It's all right," Tae-young said. "That file isn't private. It's just footage from our last approach." He looked at the screen and his expression softened. "You've never seen Earth before, have you?" Harin shook her head. She wanted to say something, but she didn't trust her voice. Her skin was still glowing with colors that gave away everything she felt. Tae-young was quiet for a moment. Then he reached over and opened another file. "Here," he said. "This is sunrise over the Pacific Ocean." The video showed the sun rising over endless water. The sky turned orange and pink and gold. Light danced on the waves. Harin had never seen so much water in her life. Her eyes started to burn and she realized she was crying. Tae-young showed her more. Aurora lights dancing in the sky over his homeland, Korea. Rain falling in a green forest, snow covering mountains, a city at night, millions of lights stretching as far as the camera could see. Each image was more beautiful than the last. "Why are you interested in Earth?" Tae-young asked gently. Harin tried to explain. She told him about Grandfather Daewon's stories, about collecting fragments for years, about her dream of seeing it someday, even though she knew it was impossible. The words poured out of her and she couldn't stop them. She told this stranger things she had never told anyone. When she finally stopped talking, she felt embarrassed again. Her skin turned dark blue. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know it's foolish. I'll never have enough money to go there." Tae-young looked at her for a long moment. Then he said something that changed Harin's life. "We're heading back to Earth next month," he said. "We'll be there for resupply before our next survey mission. If you want a window seat, it's yours. No charge." Harin stared at him. Her skin went completely white, the color of shock. "What?" "I'm serious," Tae-young said. "We have extra quarters. You can work in the archives during the journey if you want to feel useful. But you don't have to. Consider it a gift." "But why?" Harin whispered. "You don't know me. Nobody gives something like that for free." Tae-young smiled, but there was sadness in it. "I was a refugee once," he said. "During the Rim Wars when I was young. I lost everything, my family, my home, everything. I thought I was going to die in some camp on a border station. But humans found me. They took me in, gave me a new home, a new life. They didn't know me either, but they helped me anyway." He looked back at the screen at the image of Earth. "I learned something important from that experience. Hope is precious. Dreams are precious. When you see someone who has a dream, and you have the power to help them reach it, you do it. That's what humans do. That's what I do." Harin couldn't speak. Her skin was cycling through every color she had. Blue, gold, green, silver, purple. She was feeling too many things at once. "Think about it," Tae-young said, standing up. "Repairs will take 5 more days. Give me your answer before we leave." He walked to the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, I think everyone should see Earth at least once. It reminds us that beautiful things still exist in the galaxy." After he left, Harin sat alone in the quiet room, staring at the image of Earth on her screen. Her hands were shaking. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. There had to be a catch, some hidden cost she wasn't seeing. But as she looked at that beautiful blue planet, something inside her started to believe. Maybe, just maybe, dreams could come true. Maybe humans really were as kind as Grandfather Daewon had said. Maybe she was going to see Earth after all. Her skin slowly settled into soft gold, the color of hope and wonder. For the first time in years, Harin let herself truly believe that something good was about to happen. Harin stood at the airlock with one small bag containing everything she owned. It had been 3 weeks since Captain Tae-young's offer, and she still couldn't believe this was really happening. She had given her answer the next day, yes, 1,000 times yes. But part of her kept waiting for him to change his mind. He never did. The repairs finished, the Horizon left for its survey mission, and exactly 3 weeks later it returned to pick her up. Tae-young had kept his promise. Grandfather Daewon had cried when she told him. He was too old to travel now, but he held her hands and said, "Tell me everything when you come back. I want to know if it's as beautiful as they say." Now she was leaving. The station manager had been confused, but let her go without trouble. Nobody on Vera Station cared much about anyone else's business. She was just another person leaving, another face that would be forgotten in a few days. But to Harin, This was the most important moment of her life. Tae-Yang met her at the Horizon's airlock again. "Welcome aboard," he said, and his smile seemed genuine. "Let me show you to your quarters." The room was small but clean, with a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out into space. Harin had never had her own window before. She stood there for a long moment, just looking at the stars. "Settle in," Tae-Yang said. "We jump to hyperspace in 2 hours. Dinner is at 6 in the common room if you want to meet the crew. No pressure, though. Take your time." After he left, Harin sat on the bed. It was more comfortable than anything she'd had on the station. The whole room was nicer than anywhere she'd lived. Guilt crept into her chest. She didn't deserve this. She hadn't done anything to earn it. There had to be something they wanted from her. She found the ship's archive room and started working. If she was going to be here, she would make herself useful. She would earn her passage, even if Tae-Yang said she didn't have to. Harin knew how the galaxy worked. Nothing was ever really free. The first few days were quiet. Harin worked in the archive room, organizing data files and staying out of everyone's way. The crew seemed busy with their own tasks. She saw them in the hallways sometimes, and they always nodded or said hello, but she didn't try to talk to them. She was an outsider. A passenger. She didn't belong here. Then on the 4th day, someone knocked on the archive room door. A woman stood there with a cup of tea in each hand. She was human, probably in her late 30s, with sharp eyes and dark hair pulled back neatly. "You must be Harin," she said. "I'm Jiwon, first officer. Mind if I come in?" Harin nodded, surprised. Jiwon sat down and handed her one of the cups. "You've been working in here for 4 days straight," Jiwon said. "The captain said you didn't have to." "I want to help," Harin said quietly. "I should earn my place." Jiwon studied her for a moment. "You don't trust us yet, do you?" Harin's skin flickered with purple embarrassment. "I'm sorry. I don't understand why you're doing this. Nobody helps strangers like this. There's always a cost." Jiwon smiled, but it wasn't unkind. "Fair enough. The galaxy's a hard place and trust is expensive. But humans," she paused, thinking about how to explain. "We're strange. We do things that don't make sense to other species, like bringing strangers to our homeworld just because they dreamed about it." She took a sip of her tea. "There's no cost, Harin. No hidden debt. The captain offered because he wanted to, because he remembers what it's like to have nothing but hope, and because he believes everyone should see something beautiful at least once in their life." Harin didn't know what to say. Jiwon stood up. "Come to dinner tonight. The crew wants to meet you properly. Hyunwoo's cooking, and he makes amazing food. Plus, hiding in here for the whole journey would be boring." That evening, Harin nervously went to the common room. It was bigger than she expected, with a long table and comfortable chairs. The smell of cooking food made her stomach growl. She hadn't realized how hungry she was. The crew was already there. Tae-Yang waved her over. "Harin, come sit. Everyone, this is our passenger I told you about." A large man with a friendly face grinned at her from the kitchen area. "I'm Hyunwoo, the engineer. Also the best cook on this ship. Though that's not saying much since I'm the only cook. You like spicy food?" I don't know," Harin admitted. "I've never had it." "Then tonight you learn," Hyunwoo said happily. "I'm making kimchi stew. It's a traditional Korean dish. My grandmother's recipe." A woman with kind eyes and graying hair smiled at Harin. "I'm Sujin. I study alien cultures and biology. I'd love to hear about your people sometime if you're comfortable sharing." A younger woman, probably in her mid-20s, bounced in her seat excitedly. "And I'm Minji, communications officer." "Oh, this is so exciting. We never have passengers. Do you like music? I have so much Earth music to share with you." The meal was wonderful. The food was strange and spicy and made Harin's mouth burn, but in a good way. The crew talked and laughed, telling stories about their previous missions. They included her in the conversation, asking about her life on Vera Station, never making her feel like she didn't belong. After dinner, Minji pulled out a small music player. "Okay, you have to hear this. This is traditional Korean music from Earth. It's thousands of years old." The music was strange and beautiful. It sounded like water flowing, like wind through trees Harin had never seen. Her skin rippled with soft blue and green colors. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "That's nothing," Minji said, grinning. "Wait until you hear modern stuff. And Earth has music from every culture. Hundreds of different styles. There's something for everyone." Over the next 2 weeks, Harin slowly started to relax. She still worked in the archive room, but now she also spent time with the crew. Hyunwoo showed her his hobby. He built tiny models of famous Earth landmarks. He had a model of something called Namsan Tower, a tall structure in Korea. "I climbed this when I was 7, he told her, carefully gluing a tiny piece in place. "My father took me. You can see the whole city from the top. When you get to Earth, I'll tell you how to find it." Sujin asked Harin about Valathi culture. Harin found herself telling stories she hadn't shared in years, about her people's old traditions, about the colors their skin made, about the songs they sang for their lost homeworld. Sujin listened carefully, recording everything with Harin's permission. "Your culture is important," Sujin said gently. "It deserves to be remembered and preserved. Too many species lose their history when they lose their worlds." Jiwon sometimes joined Harin in the archive room, and one day she brought an old paper book. "This is poetry," she said, "from ancient Earth. I thought you might like this one. It's about the ocean." She read aloud, her voice soft. The words painted pictures of waves and tides, of the endless water Harin had seen in pictures but never touched. When Jiwon finished, Harin's eyes were wet. "Thank you," Harin whispered, "for sharing that with me." 3 weeks into the journey, the Horizon stopped at a human way station for supplies. Harin went with Minji to see the station. It was bigger than Vera, busier with ships from many different species. While Minji was shopping, Harin wandered into a cantina. Several aliens were sitting at a table talking loudly. She heard one of them mention humans, and she couldn't help but listen. "Humans are fools," one alien said, laughing. "They're so sentimental about their little blue planet. Most species spread across 100 worlds, but humans act like Earth is the only thing that matters." Another alien nodded. "And they bring everyone there. Refugees, visitors, anyone who asks. It's weakness. Someone's going to take advantage of them eventually, and they'll lose everything because they couldn't say no." Harin's skin went cold and gray. Was that what she was doing? Taking advantage of human kindness? Was she just another burden for them to carry? She rushed back to the ship, her thoughts spinning. She found Taeyang in his quarters and knocked on the door. When he opened it, she blurted out, "I need to leave at the next station." Taeyang frowned. "What? Why?" "I heard some aliens talking," Harin said, the words tumbling out. "They said humans are weak for helping everyone, that people take advantage of you. I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be a burden." Taeyang was quiet for a moment. Then he gestured to a chair. "Sit down, please." When they were both seated, he said, "Those aliens aren't completely wrong. Yes, humans are protective of Earth. Yes, we're sentimental about our homeworld. And yes, we help a lot of people even when it costs us." He leaned forward. "But that's not weakness, Harin. It's strength. Earth isn't just a planet to us. It's a promise that there's always a place to belong, always a home to return to, always a reason to keep going. And we believe everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to have hope." His voice grew softer. "Humans almost didn't survive our early days in space. We made mistakes. We lost people. We suffered. But we learned something important. Survival isn't about building walls or hoarding resources. It's about connection. It's about sharing. It's about hope." He looked at Harin directly. "You're not taking advantage of us. You're accepting a gift that we freely offer. And someday when you have the chance, you'll pass that gift forward to someone else who needs it. That's how humans build a better galaxy, one act of kindness at a time." Harin felt tears running down her face. Her skin glowed with warm gold and soft blue. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," Taeyang said, smiling. "Just enjoy the view when we get there. That's all the thanks I need." The Horizon had been traveling for 5 weeks when the distress signal came through. Harin was in the common room with Minji, listening to music from Earth when alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Minji jumped up and ran to her station. Harin followed, her skin flashing with anxious purple colors. The crew was gathering on the bridge, moving with quick efficiency. "What is it?" Taeyang asked, sliding into the captain's chair. "Distress signal," Minji said, her fingers flying over the controls. "A transport ship. Their message says they're leaking atmosphere, and their engines are failing. They have refugees aboard. Can you get more details?" Jiwon asked. Minji worked for a moment. "They're Valathi, fleeing from a collapsed mining station. They have 43 people on board, including children and elderly. Ship's name is Morning Hope. Harin's breath caught. Valathi. Her people. Her skin blazed with bright, desperate colors. How far? Taeyang asked. 3 hours at maximum speed, Minji said. But Captain, there's something else. I'm picking up other signals in that area. Could be pirates. The bridge went quiet. Harin looked around at the crew. Their faces were serious, worried. She understood why. The Horizon wasn't a military ship. It was small, built for research and exploration, not combat. How many can we take? Taeyang asked Hyunwoo. The engineer looked uncomfortable. 43 people? Captain, our life support is designed for 15, maybe 20 at most. We'd have to shut down non-essential systems, ration everything. It would be tight. And if there are pirates, Jiwon said carefully, we'd be vulnerable, slower, harder to maneuver. It would delay our journey to Earth by weeks while we find somewhere safe to drop them off. Harin felt like she couldn't breathe. Those were her people out there dying in a broken ship. But she couldn't ask humans to risk everything for them, not when they were already risking so much just to take her to Earth. Captain, she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. I'll stay with them. You can drop me off with my people. You don't have to. No, Taeyang said firmly. He stood up. We're not leaving anyone behind. Not them, not you. Hyunwoo, can you make the life support work? The engineer hesitated, then nodded slowly. It won't be comfortable, but yes, I can make it work. Jiwon, plot the fastest course, Taeyang ordered. Minji, send a message to that ship. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on. Captain, Sujin said softly. Are you sure? This is dangerous. Taeyang looked at his crew, then at Harin. We saved them all, he said simply. That's what humans do. That's what we've always done. Harin's skin erupted in colors, blue and gold and silver all at once. She had never seen anything like this. These humans were going to risk their ship, their safety, their journey home for strangers. For her people, the next 3 hours were tense. The Horizon pushed its engines hard, racing toward the distress signal. Harin stayed on the bridge, unable to sit still. Her people were out there, frightened and dying. She had to help somehow. When they finally arrived, Harin saw the Morning Hope on the view screen. It was a small, battered ship, clearly old and poorly maintained. Scorch marks covered its hull. One side was venting atmosphere in a thin stream, precious air leaking into space. 3 other ships in the area, Minji reported. Small vessels. They're keeping their distance for now, but they're definitely watching us. Pirates, Harin thought, waiting to see if the Morning Hope would die so they could take whatever was left. Prepare for docking, Taeyang said. Hyunwoo, take a team and see if you can patch that hull breach. Everyone else, we're evacuating everyone from that ship. Fast and organized. Let's move. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Harin followed them to the airlock, not sure how to help but desperate to do something. When the doors opened and she saw the refugees, her heart broke. They were Velathi like her, their skin dull and gray with fear and exhaustion. Children clung to their parents. Elderly ones moved slowly, struggling in the low gravity. Everyone looked thin, hungry, desperate. Harin rushed forward, speaking in the Velathi language she hadn't used in years. It's all right, she told them. These humans are here to help. You're safe now. An elderly woman grabbed Harin's arm. Her skin was so pale it was almost white. Why would humans help us? What do they want? Harin looked back at the crew. They were helping carry the children, supporting the elderly, moving everyone quickly but carefully into the Horizon. Nobody was asking for payment. Nobody was demanding anything in return. They were just helping because people needed help. Nothing, Harin said softly. They want nothing. They're helping because that's what they do. The elderly woman's name was Ilsun, and she stayed close to Harin as they moved everyone aboard. I've heard stories about humans, Ilsun said. They say humans fight fiercely when threatened. Are these stories true? I think so, Harin said. But they also have other stories. Stories about kindness and hope. Suddenly alarms blared again. The pirate ships were moving closer. Captain! Minji's voice came over the comm system. The pirates are closing in. They're charging weapons. Harin felt terror wash over her. They were trapped here, docked to a dying ship surrounded by pirates. And it was because of her people. Taeyang's voice came through calm and steady. How many refugees are still on the Morning Hope? 12, Captain, someone reported, including 3 children. We don't undock until everyone is aboard, Tae-yang said. Minji, open a channel to those pirate ships. Harin heard the comm crackle, then Tae-yang's voice no longer calm. It was hard and cold, a voice that commanded attention. This is Captain Tae-yang of the human vessel Horizon. We are conducting a rescue operation. Any attack on this ship will be considered an act of war against Earth and the Human Stellar Exploration Initiative. You have 1 chance to leave. Take it. Silence filled the ship. Everyone had stopped moving, listening. Il-sun gripped Harin's arm tighter. Then Minji's voice filled with relief. They're backing off, Captain. All 3 ships are leaving the area. The refugees started crying, tears of relief and disbelief. Harin felt her own tears falling. The humans had faced down 3 pirate ships without firing a single shot. Just the threat of human retaliation had been enough. All refugees aboard, Hyunwoo reported. Hull breach on the Morning Hope is patched. She won't survive a jump to hyperspace, but she's stable for now. Leave her, Tae-yang said. We've got everyone who matters. Take us out of here. As the Horizon pulled away, Harin watched the Morning Hope grow smaller on the view screen. That ship had been her people's last hope, and now it was just floating wreckage. But everyone who had been on it was safe. Because of humans. Because Captain Tae-yang refused to leave anyone behind. The ship was crowded now. 43 refugees filled the cargo bays and common areas. The crew had given up their own quarters to make room. Harin helped organize sleeping areas, distributed food and water, tried to calm frightened children. Il-sun found her later, sitting exhausted in a corner. The old woman sat down beside her. Your captain, she said. He risked everything for us. Why? Harin thought about everything she had learned over the past weeks. About Tae-yang's own story as a refugee. About human history and their nearly impossible survival. About their strange belief that hope was worth any cost. Because he remembers when no one helped him, Harin said softly. And he promised himself he would never let that happen to anyone else. That's what humans do. They remember the worst times, and they use that memory to create better times for others. Il-sun was quiet for a long time. Then she said, when our world died, we lost everything. Our home, our history, our hope. I thought we would just fade away, forgotten by the galaxy. But maybe there's still hope after all. Harin looked around at the crowded ship, at the human crew sharing their food and their space without complaint, at her people, slowly relaxing as they realized they were truly safe, at the stars visible through the windows leading them toward Earth. Yes, she said, her skin glowing soft gold. There's hope. Humans carry it with them everywhere they go, and they share it with anyone who needs it. That night, as Harin tried to sleep in the crowded cargo bay, she heard Minji organizing an impromptu concert. The young woman was teaching Velothi children Earth songs, and their laughter echoed through the ship. Hyunwoo was showing some of the refugees his models, telling stories about Earth's landmarks. Sujin was recording the refugees' stories, making sure their history wouldn't be lost. This was humanity, Harin realized, not just the brave captain or the efficient crew. It was this, the willingness to make room to share stories, to turn a rescue operation into a community, to take refugees and make them family. She finally understood what made humans special in the galaxy. It wasn't their technology or their military strength. It was their stubborn refusal to give up on hope, and their even more stubborn insistence on sharing that hope with everyone they met. The journey to Earth took 5 more weeks with the added weight and the refugees. The horizon was crowded and sometimes uncomfortable, but Harin had never felt more alive. Every day brought them closer to the blue planet of her dreams. The Velothi refugees slowly came to trust the human crew. Children who had been silent and scared started playing in the cargo bays. The elderly ones shared stories of their lost homeworld with Sujin, who recorded everything carefully. Young adults helped with ship duties, wanting to earn their passage even though the crew insisted it wasn't necessary. Harin had become a bridge between the two groups. She translated languages and customs, helping her people understand humans and helping the crew understand Velothi needs and fears. It felt good to be useful, to matter. But as they got closer to Earth, Harin felt a strange nervousness building inside her. She had dreamed of this for so long. What if it wasn't as beautiful as she imagined? What if seeing it in person ruined the dream that had kept her going all these years? Il-sun noticed her worry. The old woman had become like a grandmother to Harin during the journey. You're scared, Il-sun said one evening. Harin nodded, her skin flickering with nervous purple. What if it's not what I hoped? What if I've built it up too much in my mind? Ilsun smiled gently. Child, I have learned something on this journey. The dream was never really about Earth itself. It was about having something to hope for. Something beautiful to believe in when everything around you was gray and hard. Earth could be just another planet and it would still be special because it taught you how to hope again. Then came the day Harin had been waiting for. Minji found her in the cargo bay and said, We're approaching the Sol system. The captain says you should come to the observation deck. We'll see Earth in about an hour. Harin's heart started pounding. An hour. Just one more hour until she saw the planet she had dreamed about for 8 years. The observation deck was crowded with Velothi refugees. Everyone wanted to see the legendary planet. Tai Yang was there too, standing near the large window that looked out into space. When he saw Harin, he smiled and gestured to a seat right at the front. I promised you a window seat, he said. Best view on the ship. Harin sat down, her skin already starting to glow with anticipation. The rest of the crew had gathered too. Even though they had seen Earth many times, they all wanted to witness this moment. First they passed Mars, the red planet. It was beautiful in its own way, but Harin barely noticed it. Then the moon came into view, gray and cratered. And then finally there it was. Earth. The planet appeared around the curve of the moon and Harin forgot how to breathe. It was blue, so blue it almost hurt to look at. Swirls of white clouds danced across its surface. She could see green and brown continents, massive oceans that covered most of the world, ice caps gleaming white at the poles. It was more beautiful than any picture, any video, any dream. It was alive in a way that made her chest ache. This was what she had been searching for all these years. Harin's skin blazed with colors she had never shown before. Blue like the oceans, gold like the sun on water, green like the forest she could barely see, white like the clouds. Every emotion she had ever felt seemed to pour out through her skin all at once. Tears ran down her face, but she didn't care. Around her, other Velothi were crying too. Ilsun wept openly, her old hands pressed against the window. Children stared with wide, wondering eyes. Everyone was silent except for the sound of quiet sobbing, tears of joy and relief and overwhelming beauty. Now you understand, Tai Yang said softly beside her. Now you understand why humans fight so hard to protect it, why we always come home. This planet, it reminds us that beautiful things still exist in a hard universe. Harin couldn't speak. She just nodded, unable to take her eyes off the blue planet growing larger as they approached. Ilsun whispered, I understand now why humans are the way they are. When you have something this beautiful to protect, this precious, it changes you. It makes you want to share it, not hoard it. Because beauty should be shared. The horizon descended through the atmosphere, and Harin watched clouds stream past the windows. The sky turned from black to deep blue to bright, brilliant blue. She saw the sun properly for the first time, not filtered through a station's windows or a ship's view screens, but the real sun, warm and golden. They landed at a spaceport in Korea, Tai Yang's homeland. As the airlock opened, Harin took her first breath of Earth's air. It smelled different from recycled station air, fresh and alive with hints of things she couldn't identify. Plants, maybe. Rain. Life. When she stepped out onto the landing platform, her legs nearly gave out. The gravity was slightly different from what she was used to. The ground felt solid and real beneath her feet. Above her, the sky stretched endlessly, so much brighter and bluer than she had imagined. Human volunteers were waiting to meet them. Not soldiers or officials, but ordinary people with blankets and food and warm smiles. They greeted the Velothi refugees like long-lost friends, helping the elderly, hugging the crying children, making everyone feel welcome. Harin heard one volunteer tell Ilsun, Welcome to Earth, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're safe. Ilsun just cried and hugged the woman, unable to speak. Later that day, after the refugees were settled in temporary housing, Tai Yang took Harin and a few others to see the ocean. It was only an hour's drive from the spaceport, and he insisted they had to see it. Nothing could have prepared Harin for the reality of the ocean. She stood on the beach, sand beneath her feet for the first time, and stared at the endless water. It stretched to the horizon, blue and moving, waves rolling in and out with a rhythm that seemed ancient and eternal. The sound of it, the roar and hiss of the waves, filled her ears. Harin walked to the water's edge. When the first wave touched her feet, she gasped. It was cold and alive and real. She had seen pictures and videos, but nothing had captured this feeling. the pure, overwhelming presence of so much water in one place. She fell to her knees in the shallow water and cried. All the years of dreaming, all the saved money, all the hope and longing, it all came pouring out of her. Her skin blazed so bright with colors that the other Velothi gasped. Ilsun knelt beside her in the water, and the old woman was crying too. "We will never have this again," Ilsun said. "Our world is gone. Our oceans are gone. But these humans, they are sharing theirs with us. They are giving us a piece of what we lost." A small sound made Harin look up. A human child, maybe 6 years old, was standing nearby. The child was holding something, a seashell, pink and white and perfect. The child walked over, looked at Harin with curious eyes, and held out the shell. "Pretty," the child said simply. "For you." The child's mother hurried over, apologizing. "I'm so sorry, she shouldn't bother you." But Harin took the shell with shaking hands. It was smooth and cool, still wet from the ocean. She held it carefully like it was the most precious thing in the universe. To her in that moment it was. "Thank you," Harin whispered to the child. "Thank you so much." The child smiled and ran back to play in the sand. The mother smiled at Harin and walked away. Such a simple exchange, but it meant everything. Even human children understood the importance of sharing treasures. That night, back at the temporary housing, the Velothi refugees gathered together. Earth officials had explained that they would be given asylum. They could stay on Earth if they wanted, in special settlements where they could preserve their culture. Or they could eventually leave to find homes on other worlds. The choice was theirs. Most decided to stay, at least for a while. Some wanted to settle permanently. Others would eventually leave, but they would never forget Earth or the humans who had saved them. Ilsun asked to meet with Taeyang before her group moved to their settlement site. Harin went with her to translate, though Ilsun's words were simple enough. The old woman looked at the captain with tears in her eyes. "When our world died," she said, "we thought we had lost everything. Our home, our purpose, our reason to keep going. You humans taught us something important. A home is not just a place. It is the people who welcome you. It is the kindness shown to strangers. It is the hope that beautiful things still exist." She took Taeyang's hands in hers. "Thank you for reminding us what it means to belong. Thank you for sharing your world with us. We will never forget." Taeyang smiled, and Harin saw tears in his eyes too. "You would have done the same for us," he said. "That's what we believe. That's what we hope. That kindness creates more kindness. That hope spreads." After Ilsun left, Harin stayed with Taeyang. They stood together looking at the night sky. The stars were different here, seen through Earth's atmosphere. Softer somehow. More beautiful. "What will you do now?" Taeyang asked. "You've seen Earth, your dream came true. Will you stay here?" Harin touched the seashell in her pocket. She had been thinking about this question since they landed. Earth was beautiful, more beautiful than she had ever imagined. But Ilsun was right. The dream was never really about Earth itself. It was about hope, about believing that something better existed somewhere in the galaxy. And now Harin understood something else. She had received a gift, not just the trip to Earth, but the understanding of what hope meant. What humans meant when they risked everything to save strangers. What it felt like to witness true kindness. She couldn't keep that gift to herself. She had to pass it forward. "No," she said softly. "I want to come with you. I want to join your crew. I want to help you do what you do. Rescuing people, showing them hope, bringing them to beautiful places. You gave me a window seat to Earth. I want to help give that to others." Taeyang looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. "The Horizon would be lucky to have you. And next time we rescue a ship full of refugees, you can be the one offering them hope." Harin spent 3 weeks on Earth before the Horizon prepared to leave again. They were the most wonderful weeks of her life. She explored forests where rain fell from the sky. Real rain, not recycled water from station systems. She climbed mountains and saw the world spread out below her. She visited the Memorial for Lost Worlds, a beautiful garden where species who had lost their homeworlds could plant trees or place markers. The memorial was peaceful, filled with trees and flowers from 100 different worlds. Each marker told a story of a planet that no longer existed. Harin placed a crystal there, inscribed with the coordinates of her people's dead son. It wasn't much, but it felt important. A way of saying that the Velothi had existed, had mattered, had been remembered. An elderly human woman worked as a caretaker for the memorial. She had kind eyes and moved slowly through the gardens, tending to the plants. She came over to Harin as she placed the crystal. "Are you saying goodbye to your homeworld?" the woman asked gently. Harin shook her head. Her skin was calm blue and gold, peaceful colors. "No," she said. "I'm saying goodbye to the past, and thank you to the future." The old woman smiled. "That's beautiful. You know, this is what Earth means to humans. Not just the dirt or the oceans or the sky. It's the promise that no matter how far we go, how lost we become, or how dark things get, there's always a place to come home to. Always hope. And now you're part of that promise too." Harin thought about those words for days. Part of the promise. She had come to Earth as a dreamer, a refugee from a dying species with nothing but hope. Now she was something more. She was becoming someone who could pass that hope forward. Before leaving Earth, she visited Grandfather Day-1. The old Velothi had been brought to the settlement where Ilsun and the others were living. When Harin walked into his room, he cried with joy. "Tell me everything," he said, gripping her hands. "Is it as beautiful as they said?" Harin told him about the blue planet seen from space, about the ocean and the waves, about the rain and the mountains and the endless sky. She told him about the human child who gave her a seashell. She told him about kindness and hope and the promise that Earth represented. When she finished, Grandfather Day-1 was crying. "I knew it," he whispered. "I knew the stories were true. I'm so glad you got to see it. I'm so glad you found hope." "And now I'm going to help others find it too," Harin said. "I'm joining the Horizons crew. I'm going to help humans do what they do best, spread hope across the galaxy." The old man smiled through his tears. "That's perfect. That's exactly what you should do. Take the gift you were given and pass it forward. That's how hope survives." The Horizon left Earth on a clear morning. Harin stood at her window, the same window seat Taeyang had promised her, and watched as the blue planet grew smaller. She felt sadness at leaving, but also excitement. She was part of something important now. She had a purpose. The crew welcomed her officially as a member. She would work in communications with Minji, helping to translate and communicate with alien species. She would also help with refugee operations when they encountered people who needed saving. "You're one of us now," Ji-won told her during dinner that first night back in space. "Welcome to the family." Family. Harin had never really had one before. She had survived, existed, but never truly belonged anywhere. Now she did. Not because she was human, not because she was from Earth, but because she shared their values. She believed in hope. She believed in helping others. She believed that beautiful things should be shared, not hoarded. 3 months passed. Harin learned her duties and grew more confident in her role. She helped Minji communicate with stations in languages the young human didn't speak. She organized supply runs and helped maintain the ship's data systems. She felt useful, needed, happy. Then one day the distress signal came. Harin was on the bridge when Minji picked it up. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call." "A colony ship. They say they're fleeing persecution and looking for safe haven." Taeyang stood up immediately. "What species?" "Calling themselves Karathi," Minji said. "I don't have much information about them in the database." Harin felt her skin tingle. This was it. Her first real rescue operation as a crew member. "I can help," she said. "I can help them understand we're here to assist." Taeyang nodded. "Harin, you're with me. Let's go meet them." The colony ship was small and damaged. It had clearly been traveling for a long time, its hull scarred and its systems barely functioning. When the Horizon docked with it, Harin followed Taeyang to the airlock. The Karathi were small insect-like beings with delicate bodies and large, multifaceted eyes. They looked frightened and exhausted. Children clung to adults. Everyone looked like they had given up hope a long time ago. Harin stepped forward. Her translator device would help with the language, but she knew that wasn't enough. These people needed to see kindness. They needed to see hope. She let her skin glow with warm, welcoming colors. Gold and soft blue and gentle green. Colors that meant safety and peace in Velothi culture. Maybe the Karathi would understand the meaning even if they didn't know the language. "My name is Harin," she said, her translator converting her words into sounds the Karathi could understand. "I'm from the ship Horizon. We're here to help you." One of the Karathi, an adult who seemed to be in charge, moved forward cautiously. "Help? Why would you help us?" "We have nothing to pay you with." Harin remembered asking Taeyang the same question months ago. She smiled. "Because you need help. That's the only reason we need." A small Karathi, clearly a child, tugged on the adult's arm. The child's large eyes were focused on Harin. "Are you taking us somewhere safe?" the child asked in a tiny voice. Harin knelt down to be at the child's level. She remembered being a child on Vera Station, dreaming of impossible things. She remembered hearing about Earth for the first time. She remembered that spark of hope that kept her going through years of gray, boring existence. "Yes," Harin said gently. "We know a place. It's called Earth. It's the most beautiful planet in the galaxy. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds. The humans who live there welcome refugees. They help people who have nowhere else to go." The child's eyes grew even larger. "Is it real? Can we really go there?" Harin felt tears in her eyes. She was hearing her own voice from months ago, asking Tai Yang the same desperate question. She was seeing herself in this frightened child who dared to hope for something better. She reached out and gently touched the child's small hand. Her skin glowed bright gold, the color of pure hope. "Yes," she said firmly. "Earth is real. It's the most real thing I've ever seen. And if you want a window seat on our ship so you can watch when we arrive, I know just the captain to ask." She looked back at Tai Yang, who stood in the horizon's airlock. He was smiling, and she could see pride in his eyes. He nodded once, giving his approval. Harin turned back to the Karathi refugees. "Come with us," she said. "You're safe now. We'll take care of you. We'll show you beautiful things. We'll give you hope." As the refugees slowly filed onto the horizon, Harin helped guide them. She spoke to them in soft, reassuring tones. She let her skin glow with peaceful colors. She made sure the children felt safe and the elderly felt supported. And she realized something profound. She had come full circle. She had been the dreamer with nothing but hope. She had been given an impossible gift by a kind human captain. She had seen the beautiful blue planet she thought she'd never reach. And now she was passing that gift forward, offering hope to others who had none. This was what humans did. This was what made them special in a galaxy full of species focused on survival and profit and power. Humans chose kindness. They chose to share. They chose to believe that everyone deserved a chance to see something beautiful. And now Harin was part of that. She wasn't human, would never be human, but she carried their values in her heart. She was part of the promise that Earth represented, the promise that hope existed, that beauty existed, that kindness existed. After all the Karathi were safely aboard and the horizon had undocked from their dying ship, Harin stood at her window. She watched the stars stream past as they jumped to hyperspace, heading toward Earth once again. The Karathi child found her there, looking out at the stars with wonder. Harin made room for the small being to stand beside her. "Is this the window seat you promised?" the child asked. Harin smiled. "This is just for practice," she said. "Wait until we get to Earth. Wait until you see the blue planet appear around the moon. Wait until you see oceans that stretch to the horizon. Then you'll understand what a real window seat means." "Will it really be as beautiful as you say?" the child asked.